of the great rabbis of yesteryear. Now, today, we are going to explore the history a bit within regards to a really great Tunisian rabbi. His name was Rabbi Chaim HaCohen. Zecher Tzadik Libracha, a great rabbi of his time. Marks his Hilul here on the 27th of Kislev, friends. He passed away 51 years ago in the year 1974. He was actually born in English year 1909. He was, and it's a very common name, and very happens to be one of the great outstanding rabbis of Djerba of Tunisia, I think, in his day. Now, he came from great auspices. His father's name, I think, a Khalfa, if I'm not mistaken. He was born in 1909 in the island of Djerba. It's actually interesting. He would learn Torah under the auspices of another great rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before here inside this series. His name was Rabbi Machluf Idan. Remember, at that point in time, rabbinic family, let's just say, in of itself, that's we've spoken about on various occasions before. So he would learn a Torah under his flagship, under his, let's just say, his brilliance in himself. Let's say a word with regards to Rabbi Machluf Idan, because he also was one of the famous rabbis of Tunisia in his day. He actually passed away himself in the year 1946 and was born in 1880. He was very much from Djerba, from the Khara Tzigira neighborhood over there. And what's interesting, his father, Rabbi Machluf Idan, was a son of Rabbi Moshe Idan, very, very great rabbi. He was born in the year 1880, if I'm not mistaken. And the Idan family itself had Rabbi Nissim Idan, Rabbi David Idan, and Rav Tzion, really, really great family that happened to be. So he was, let's say, just a word with regards to Rav Machluf Idan over here. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he would get married into a woman from the Buchritz family, if I'm not mistaken, which was another great Tunisian family in of itself. And they would have various children. I think he would. They would learn of Rabbi HaCohen Tzedek, I think, over there at that point in time, and Rabbi Machluf Idan. He was a rabbi over here of the Rabbi Chaim HaCohen we happen to be speaking about. So just to add a couple more things with regards to Rabbi Machluf Idan. He was known as the Chassid or Kadosh, and someone very b'derech tznuah, with great humility in of itself during his specific point in time. And much can be actually related over with regards to him. Hopefully, if you guys will watch back the video we recorded about Rabbi Machluf Idan, it will give a great, let's say, synopsis within regards to him. Now, he didn't just. What's interesting is, I think Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, who was one of the Talmidim there, was one of Rabbi Machluf Idan's students. But listen to this list of great Talmidim of Rabbi Machluf Idan. Many of them were in the same circle as Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, is something that we have to point out. Rabbi Moshe Cohen, the Riham, he was Rabbi Kamir Samosa Cohen, who would go on to become the rabbi of Chara Tzigira, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Yonan Chori, Rabbi Susan Mazuz, really great rabbis. Rabbi Atia Chori, another great rabbi, who was also the Netzah Revi'i. Also, another great rabbi was Rabbi Shimon Hariri, another famous Kabbalist. Rabbi Peretz Maimon, Rabbi Sassia Cohen, who was author Madrashah Shel Shem Be'ever, Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, who we're speaking about over here, Rabbi Al Shel Madnin. Very interesting enough. So he was, Rabbi Chaim HaCohen was part of an elite greatness of great Talmidim of him. Rabbi Kamos Bochretz, Rabbi Chaim Lassi, Rabbi Eliyahu David Mazuz, Rabbi Yeshua Chadad, really rabbis of the greatest caliber. That's something that we have to point out over here. Anyone tuning in live, please subscribe to the channel. We're exploring the history of a really famous Tunisian rabbi, Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, as it marks his passing over here in the next couple of days during the Jewish festival Hanukkah. Something that we have to point out, and we're exploring a bit of the history with regards to Rabbi Chaim HaCohen. So please subscribe. We've got fantastic content here on this channel, and welcome. Okay, so he would learn under Rabbi Machluf Idan while he was young. I think somewhat year 1961, he'd be bordering around 50 years of age at that point in time. He would go out to Tripoli, to Libya, and would eventually come back to Djerba. So he was in and out, seemingly, of both Tunisia and Libya. Remember, that point in time, I think those two communities would have various different rabbis that would both be associated with both those places on various occasions of that time. Now, as we said before, he would go on to become the rabbi of, I believe, Medenin in of itself. This was a place where there was a It was a Kehila. He was Rabbi of a Kehila. It was another great rabbi, very much involved with it. Rav Chaim HaCohen, who was another great rabbi who we must point out. He was, I think, the rabbi beforehand, if I'm not mistaken. We recorded a video about Rabbi Chaim HaCohen itself. We did mention, do an entire presentation on the history of the great Tunisian rabbis from the Huri family on various occasions before. Let's just say something about Rabbi Chaim HaCohen. It was actually his Hilula on the 5th of Adar. He passed away in the year 1983. He was the son of Rabbi Gabriel Huri, if I'm not mistaken. He was born in Jerba in 1893 and would learn Torah under auspices of his father, Rabbi Gabriel, which we have to point out, and was one of the great rabbis of Jerba of his age. And he was an educator for younger students in of itself. He would go to Madnin, so he would be the rabbi, Rav Chaim HaCohen of Madnin, before Rav Chaim HaCohen happened to have been, and had many great students of the younger students inside that vicinity. And I think after Rabbi Gabriel Huri passed away, he would actually return to the city of Jerba and would start learning in Beit Midrash of that city, the Beit Knesset HaGdol, and the Beit Knesset Rabbi Avram Haddad, if I'm not mistaken, Beit Knesset Rabbi Shalom Haddad. And the Haddad family was a great family in of itself. And I think there was a Beit Knesset Aliyat Rabbi Yitzchak Huri. And he was just a brilliant rabbi in of itself. And I think he was also close to Rabbi Kadir Tzaban, if I'm not mistaken, who was also a rabbi in Madnin at one stage in time. And he would return to Madnin, interesting enough, Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, on a second occasion, and also become the rabbi and dayan there. And then in 1963, he would go to Eretz Israel, to the land of Israel, and would dwell in Ashkelon. So at that point in time, when Rabbi Chaim HaCohen would go to Ashkelon, I think Rabbi Chaim HaCohen would actually take his place for this place over there. And just to add another thing within regards to him, he was a very great rabbi. He passed away in 1984, if I'm not mistaken. Wrote the Chachmanezim, if I'm not mistaken, which was in 5 volumes. And you can see really the caliber of rabbis there were in Tunisia at that point in time was absolutely astounding. It's actually interesting. Rabbi Chaim HaCohen will also learn over there. I think when he would actually come to sorry about that. Just there was a problem with the connection over here. He would go to Tunis. So he would go back after this period of time in Madnin and will eventually go back to the community at that point in time. And I think, so remember, there was a huge wave of aliyot going from Tunisia, especially after the 6-Day War. It became very dangerous at that stage in time for Jewish people to stay in Tunisia. So many will come. I believe he would go to Beersheba over there. The Sham Arach Et Katavav. Chacham HaKohen Niftar. I think he passed away on the 27th of Kislev in the Etaf Shin Lamatei, and he was buried in Beersheba. And he would write the Torah colossal work called the She'erit Chaim. This was a Torah book that really very much concentrates on the weekly Torah portion. Anyone tuning in live, we're exploring the history of Rav Chaim HaCohen. Was a great rabbi of Tunisia of his day. I'm just going to take a 1 minute break, and I'll be back, and we're going to explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's book over here. So if you be patient for a minute, I'll be back. And in the meantime, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be back in 1 minute. Yeah, thanks everyone for being patient and waiting. Sorry about the just short break, the short delay over here. We're exploring the life of a great Tunisian rabbi, someone of the name Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, who was a great one of the great rabbis of Jerba of his time. So we said before that he wrote a Torah colossal book, I think called the Shayim, obviously named after him. This was hi everyone, sorry about the over there. We just had a problem with the internet connection, and thanks to everyone for being patient. We're just exploring a few of the highlights from Rabbi Chaim HaCohen's book, and then we're going to call it a day over here. As we said before, he passed away, I believe, in the year 1974. We're talking about 51 years ago. Let's explore a few of the highlights from his book. One of the teachings from the Sherit Chaim book, from Bahar Sinai, Parshat Bahar, I believe, talking about that. I think it's on page 120, if I'm not mistaken. Remember, this book was printed, I think, in 1986, about 12 years after he passed away in Tel Aviv. It teaches Mefaresh mitzvat v'chezket bo gam im mata yadcha imo. That's what the teaching says. Another teaching says over here, Machanei HaTalmidim gemalim shegomlim chesed lelamed lechabe ma shlemdo. And section comes from Parshat Bereshit. I think it's actually featured on the 23rd page. Once again, the Fus Zohar, it says, and was printed in Tel Aviv in the year 1986. Just to point out another teaching he gives away in this book. Once again, I think Parshat Bereshit, I think in Amud 13 and 18, it says, Melamed Misham Avram Shaolam Lo Nivra Ele Bishvili Yisrael. You know, that just the importance that this world was created for Am Yisrael in of itself. That's why the whole world was created. So very, very interesting. And anyone tuning in to our channel, to our community over here, welcome. And we're exploring a few of the highlights of Rabbi Chaim HaCohen, his book. It happens to be a Silula, so please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Another teaching, Melamed Shemalchut Chozeret Liakov Ba'hevel Pi Tinukot Shel Beit Rabban. This is a teaching, I think, coming from page 27, once again printed in the year 1986. And one last teaching was the Melamed Shelo Nitkayem Dor HaMabul Ba'avo Noach Shithalech B'midat Hadin. That's what teaching, going back to the book of Bereshit, the realm of it. It's featured very much in page number 4 and 5. And once again printed in Tel Aviv in the year 1986. It was printed, so it was printed quite recently. That's something we have to point out. And it was a very famous rabbi of his time, a rabbi we've spoken about over here on various occasions before. And yeah, it's not the first time we're mentioning him. Now, obviously, I think the second day of Hanukkah or third day of Hanukkah will actually mark the famous rabbi's Hilula over there. And already, what's interesting is I think we have already recorded about a staggering maybe 40 rabbis that actually came from Jerba at one stage in time, which is a staggering amount of people. And the greatness, you can just see the great families there were. Jerba was a great Jewish community in of its day. There was also an area called Jabs. And yeah, it's very, very exciting to speak about, and very, very important that we educate ourselves about the great rabbis or that there were of yesteryear in of itself. So friends, everyone here, we're a community here. We're learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. If you have not subscribed yet to our channel, please subscribe and join our community. We're nearing 8,000 subscribers, friends, which is a phenomenal achievement over here. So welcome everyone, and blessings also here from Israel. And everyone, welcome to our community. We don't just record videos over here on this channel of great rabbis of yesteryear. We're exploring the history of various different Jewish countries of yesteryear. What were the communities like all over the world? And something that very much is brilliant. Let's just say in of itself, we're just garnering up at the moment is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, we're doing a lot more at the moment. We're exploring various different communities. We also do tours all over Israel, friends. That's another very exciting project that we are working on at the moment. We're about to go into Shabbat Parshat Vayeshev at the moment. We're towards the end of the book of Bereshit. And yeah, we spoke about Rabbi Chaim HaCohen. And it's really a week. It's an important week over here, let's just say, in of itself, because there's many Hilulot during the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. That's something I would point out today. We took these notes from Chacham, from the Haimi website, which gives excellent insights. They actually themselves point out that on Chaf Zayin Kislev also marks the Hilula of Rab Lika Kohanat Kesbrahan, who happens to be another famous Ethiopian rabbi. We spoke about another Ethiopian rabbi yesterday. Also Rabbi Meir Cohen Barajani, if I'm not mistaken, another rabbi I believe we've spoken about on various occasions before. And just to recap, the 26th of Kislev was also a important day. That was of Rav Shaul Katzin, who passed away in 1916. Let's point that out also. And the first day of Hanukkah will be the Hilul of Rabbi Abraham Harari Raful. We recorded a video about in the past. He passed away in 1992, according to some opinions, I think. And also Rabbi Raphael Abraham Shalom Mizrahi Sherabi, another great rabbi who passed away in 1827, nearly 200 years ago. The first day of Hanukkah will actually mark those Hilulot also respectively. So very, very interesting. Please watch over the Stories of Tzaddikim section. And once again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe now. And welcome and have Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for watching, everyone.